Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to do something for me right out of the gate. Break the fourth wall for just a second and really look, truly look at the physical glass screen that's displaying these words and visuals right now. Whether you're holding a smartphone right in the palm of your hand, staring at a laptop on your desk, or, watching on a massive monitor, you're essentially just looking at a flat piece of glass. It might have a few fingerprint smudges on it, it feels totally solid to the touch, and yet, it's currently beaming this vibrant, moving, colorful world directly into your eyes. We take this completely for granted, don't we? We look at it for hours every single day, but how often do we actually stop to marvel at the absolute wizardry happening just beneath the surface of that glass?
Okay, let's dive into this, because honestly, framing this tech as anything less than a fascinating magic trick happening right before your eyes would be doing it a massive disservice. Right at this very second, your screen is generating the exact colors, the exact text, and the exact shapes you're seeing. Now, obviously, it's not actual magic, but it is a literal masterpiece of engineering. So how does a seemingly inactive piece of flat glass know how to shape light into a readable sentence or a stunning photograph? Well, to understand the answer, we've got to completely change our perspective. We have to shrink way, way down.
Which brings us to Section 1, the magic of RGB pixels. Let's look at these microscopic blocks.
So to really wrap our heads around this, we're going to go on a little physical zoom-in journey. Imagine taking a microscopic camera and dropping down far, far beyond what your human eye can naturally see. Down here, you're going to find the absolute foundational anatomy of your display, the pixel. Think of a pixel as a microscopic, light-emitting brick. But actually, it gets even smaller than that. Each pixel is further divided into 3 distinct subpixels, red, green, and blue, or RGB. Every single image you see, no matter how insanely complex, is constructed entirely from just these 3 colors sitting side by side in their tiny, microscopic little homes.
The brilliant logic of this entire system all comes down to controlling light. By tweaking just these 3 basic colors, your screen creates that vast, colorful spectrum you see every single day. The screen controls the exact brightness of the red, the green, and the blue subpixels completely independently. So by mixing different intensities of these 3 lights within such a tiny, microscopic area, a single pixel can blend them together to basically trick your eye into seeing virtually any color in the visible spectrum. If it cranks all 3 up to their absolute maximum brightness, boom, you get pure, brilliant white. If it turns them all completely off, you get deep, dark black. And by varying all the levels right in between, it generates literally every shade of orange, teal, purple, and brown you could possibly imagine.
Moving right along to Section 2, LCD versus OLED screens. Let's see how we're actually powering those pixels.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we give those pixels their illuminating power. Now, if you look at LCD technology, it relies on a really large backlight positioned all the way behind a layer of liquid crystals. It's essentially like shining a giant flashlight through millions of tiny, colored stained glass windows. The light is always on, and the crystals just act as tiny little shutters to either block it or let it through. But notice the massive, game-changing difference with OLED technology. In an OLED screen, each individual subpixel is completely self-sufficient. It produces its very own independent light. There is no giant backlight. If an OLED screen wants to show you the color black, it literally just turns off the electricity to that specific pixel, creating absolute darkness. It's a truly breathtaking difference in how we engineer light.
That takes us to Section 3, the graphics processor at work. Meet the invisible conductor.
Now, having millions of tiny little light bulbs is great, but without specific instructions, they're just going to be chaotic flashes of color. And that brings us to the sheer scale of this one word, millions. To actually create the crisp images and moving videos you're watching right this very second, your device relies on a graphics processor. This tiny chip is working tirelessly behind the scenes, sending precise electrical signals to millions of these RGB pixels simultaneously. It acts like a maestro, pointing to millions of individual pixels and telling every single one of them exactly what color and exactly what level of brightness to display at any given millisecond. The sheer scale of this microscopic coordination is just staggering.
But here's a totally curious question. If your screen is literally just a mosaic of millions of tiny red, green, and blue dots, why does it look like perfectly smooth text on a solid background, right? Why can't you actually see the grid? Well, it's because the pixels are packed together so incredibly tight that your eyes physically cannot resolve them individually from a normal viewing distance. The hardware has completely outpaced our own biological limits, which perfectly sets up the real twist of how we perceive this tech. Here in Section 4, the illusion of smooth motion, let's talk about how this creates smooth movement.
You see, to show motion, the processor doesn't actually move anything at all.
Instead, it rapidly updates the static instructions for every single pixel on the display, dozens or even hundreds of times every single second. This is what we call your screen's refresh rate. A 60 Hz screen flashes a brand new image 60 times a second. 120 Hz, 120 times a second. It is firing new instructions at millions of pixels at a blistering, almost incomprehensible pace.
So the crucial point is, the magic trick isn't entirely happening inside the device itself. The ultimate magic trick is actually happening right behind your eyes. The screen is technically just flashing thousands of static, completely still images in rapid succession, just subtly changing the brightness of those tiny RGB lights. It is your human biology that actually does the final heavy lifting. Because the images are updating so incredibly fast, and because that grid of pixels is so impossibly dense, your brain blends all of that raw flashing data into a single, seamless, beautiful image. Your brain is what connects the dots.
I want to leave you with this lingering thought to wrap up the explainer today. Every single time you watch a movie, scroll through a feed, or watch an explainer just like this one, remember what's really happening. You are witnessing a truly breathtaking partnership between cutting-edge technological hardware and ancient human biology. The millions of microscopic red, green, and blue lights are firing away, and your brain is just eagerly stitching it all together to construct the reality you see before you. So the absolute next time you look at your device, ask yourself, is your screen actually moving, or is your brain just falling for the ultimate illusion? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep learning, keep wondering.